Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Hummy and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black in again. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I apologize for the background noise you're going to hear, not the music, but I'm getting my car washed and I got to do this now while I can because I'm always interrupting. We started work today, so I've had even less time to record than normal. I'm going to say first off that we men got to be in control, largely because see, we don't have to rule with an iron fist. I actually don't recommend that. But men must be in charge for the most part. Minus a few contextual situations, we men must be in charge for the most part. And we can't be lenient about who's in charge. You can be lenient as somebody in charge, which is actually good, provided you're being respected. But you cannot be lenient about who is in charge as a man, because she will never be lenient about who is responsible. Remember that. Now, all of this is not malicious. The Arabic word for humanity is nas or insan, but it comes from the root of the verb forget. It's a derivative of the root of the verb forget. The Arabic word for women is nisa, and that is also a derivative of the root of the word forget. The word for man is also very, very, very close. They're related and almost identical. The word for man is even spelled the same as leg. I think there might be one letter different. So things have to stand or rest on the man. Humanity is forgetful, but the women even more forgetful. Even more so. That being said, even our names in some of the oldest languages indicate what our natures are. And I'm going to point this out right quick. I'm not going to tell any man to be an oppressive patriarch. That doesn't work and it's not necessary. But I'm going to tell every man that when you are not in control, you're still going to be held responsible. You might as well be in control and recognized as being in charge. If there are certain contexts or certain things over which you're not in charge, fine. But if you overall are not in charge, you might as well get up and walk out now, because the minute boo-boo hits the fan, unless she's shown that she's going to take responsibility and accountability, which is very rare, but unless she's shown that, don't accept not being in charge, because she's not going to accept being accountable. Now, this accountability, as I've said before, is something that we men must accept. But when you're dealing with the past, you only accept accountability privately, and you only accept accountability proportional to your control and your knowledge and awareness and your options. You only accept accountability in that context. You don't accept it in front of them, publicly in front of the women. And you don't accept accountability. You don't accept accountability in a way that will make them happy, because they would not do the same. Know that they will fight you tooth and nail. Remember that. Next thing I wanted to tell you is that if you are a Western black man, you have unfortunately been subjected to more conspiracies than anyone else. Now, black folks in general have been subjected to conspiracies that were racially and financially based. Conspiracies to keep black folks in bad economies as nations and bad finances as individuals. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but the conspiracies are there, the program is there. Next, that's if you're black at all, period. Men, mostly Western men, have been subjected to gender-based conspiracies hatched by women, acting as a union to sexually boycott most men, especially the responsible ones, so that they will have to take bad deals that the women themselves would never offer. And they will have to accept these deals, and there will be no better options for them. All right. That being said, what if you are a Western black male? Now, of course, you've been subjected to the conspiracies held by all of them, and you haven't been given any sort of leeway, no relief at all. You've had all the bad news that there is to get. So that being said, it's kind of unfair, but we're not just going to sit up and cry about how unfair it is. What we're going to do next is we're going to say that we know the conspiracy, and we're going to refuse to accept being a victim of it. We do not apologize for exposing these things and refusing to be victims of them anymore. It's going to sound paranoid, but understand this. When we are talking about racial issues, some of the conspiracy theories were proven to be conspiracies, either by being exposed with proof or by simply being declassified and therefore becoming confessions. COINTELPRO is one such example. Remember, COINTELPRO was, don't forget that COINTELPRO was actually exposed by young whites when they stormed the FBI office. Now, some people say, well, we need to stop saying that if we black folks had done what they did at Capitol Hill, we'd have been shot to death. No, we don't need to stop saying it. I'm going to tell you why. The Black Panthers at the California State Capitol did not necessarily storm it. They just stood outside of it with the guns, and that was within their legal right. And it kind of diffused the situation that they would cite the law to people that were asking what was going on. Even that was enough to where all of a sudden Second Amendment rights were reinterpreted. I wouldn't say done away with, but the Second Amendment rights were reinterpreted in such a way as to curtail Second Amendment arms-bearing rights for our people. Again, so that they could sit up and use criminal records or anything else to ruin them for us. I'm going to tell y'all straight away like this. Conspiracies are real, and they're not always even agreed upon. Sometimes conspiracies are tacitly agreed upon. Sometimes conspiracies are they're carried out or they're agreed upon without a word being spoken. Sometimes it's just a pattern of behavior. And it develops, and then after the pattern develops, those who benefit realize that they got an unfair advantage and they just keep it going. This happens a lot. This is actually the way that many regular run-of-the-mill Caucasians got in on what their leaders were doing to oppress us. This is also the way that many women got in on the conspiracy. They pretty much said, well, we see what's going on. We can put forth certain ideas, and these ideas are going to be, we can just put forth certain ideas, and these ideas, because they serve us, will simply promote. And they did not receive the backlash from we men that our just and fair concerns received from women. And this is part of why I say, men, you accept accountability, but only in proportion to your leadership and your control and your adequate knowledge of a situation. This is why I say, yes, men, accept accountability, but be measured in which accountability you accept. Make sure it applies to you. And this is why I also say, do not accept accountability in front of women. When you do accept accountability, you do it privately. And you do it where the women don't know. It is of the utmost importance that they do not know when you have accepted accountability for something. So you see, gentlemen, you don't have to go and stick it in whoever's in front of you. But what they want to create a situation in which you think you do. They want that. And that's why these old men say you got to take what you can get. And that's why they teach it to young brothers, and then guys that are just a year older than you tell you the same thing. Man, you got to take what you can get. So you might want to leave alone a woman because all she wants to do is, she'll let you finger her and you want to go all the way and you don't want to leave her. Or you're not sure. No, go ahead. I'm going to tell you why. You leave her because, number one, you shouldn't be fornicating. And you shouldn't be trying. And you really shouldn't be trying if she's trying not to, but she wants to do everything else but that. I mean, all of these situations are stupid. But the other reason is, simply put, you must understand, even if what you want is wrong, if you don't give her what she wants when it's wrong, she gonna leave you. But the main reason that I started to record this, gentlemen, actually was to tell you that what we've been dealing with is largely a conspiracy. Now, when it comes to money, there are conspiracies that have been hatched to make sure that we don't get too far ahead financially or economically. These conspiracies do exist. But the poverty of the majority of the human population is not necessarily due to conspiracy as much as it is due to, the natural rarity of things that we find valuable anyway. That's just the way wealth works. Wealth is rare because it is the abundance of things that are rare in nature. And the minute they become abundant in nature, then they're no longer valuable anyway, so a surplus of it no longer means wealth. That's what that has to do with. But more than that, what I want you guys to understand is that what may be a result of a conspiracy is the color arrangement or the complexion arrangement of wealth on a global scale. Yeah, sure. But what you're dealing with from the Western woman, white or black, is in fact the result of a conspiracy. Silent, tacit, intentional or unintentional, agreed upon through conversation or not, they conspired to collectively, as a union, especially the Western black woman. Though she learned it from Becky and Amber and Karen, she took it to the next level, especially her. She made the same conspiracy more intense. And that conspiracy was exactly what MOT has been saying. Shout out to him and thanks for coming on the show. And that conspiracy was to shut out, and they know that they're doing it because he's mentioned some of the things that they have said. They know that they're doing this. What they're doing is they're pretty much saying, in a nutshell, and doing, they're shutting most of you out of just basic experience and knowledge of them. They're not going to change who they are, but they will change your ability to learn about it. They want you to be unknowing, unexperienced, so that they then can come back, as he said, and utilize you as a retirement plan. And they know that they're doing it because they've admitted this to each other. Now, where the agreement got started is a debate. But right now, we do have to understand that there is this agreement. And the bulk of them are in on it. I don't know the percentage of them that are in on it, but the bulk of them are in on it. And we're just going to have to accept the fact that if you were pro-black, that same lady you advocate for is involved in a sexual genetic conspiracy pretty much to end or to eliminate you from the next generation. And that's it. So while we have had conspiracies before to limit our population or to limit us from becoming a majority, both by elimination and also by absorption, shout out to BGS for pointing that out. The other thing that you must understand is that we have faced the same thing to a level no other man has faced as Western black men, not just American, but Western. That means American and Canadian and British and even Jamaican and Bahamian black men have faced this. What are they going to do? They're going to pass around the same few men between them and be passed around by these same few men between these same few men. And they ain't going to wear protection or use protection or pop them pills every time because they don't think that these men are genetically inferior. but rather genetically superior. And shout out to Edward Anderson for pointing out such a thing as genetic currency, but also understand that a man's genetic currency is based partially on his lack of responsibility in other areas of life. You got to be all swag and no substance, or they don't want you. That's the end of it. There's nothing else to it, really. You might get a pass if you're 6 feet tall, muscle bound, and you're a scholar athlete. You might get a pass then. Maybe. But believe you me, if you take two men that are exceptionally athletic, all other things being equal except that one is an athlete and the other one is a scholar athlete, they still want to screw that athlete. That's the end of it. You were still a victim of a conspiracy to eliminate the bulk of you, but still include you, while excluding you from the breeding of the seed, include you in the feeding of somebody else's seed. That's a conspiracy, gentlemen. It's not just a pattern that developed on its own. This is a conspiracy. Don't forget it. You have every right to be ticked off. And if anything, I'm going to be honest with you. Being willing to stand up for black women's rights, so to speak, like the rights to not be murdered, is okay. It makes sense. But it is not something that we need to do publicly. This is the other reason that black men should not be out here protesting. You may be fighting against it some other way legally, maybe. But you know what? T. Hassan Johnson's pointing out, black men don't go to jail for protesting and just get out. That is true. That's one reason we should not be out there protesting on behalf of them. I'm not saying not back them up, but not protesting and demonstrating. That's one reason. You get arrested and you go to jail longer. That's true. But the other reason is because, simply put, you may believe that they have every right to be treated fairly in the workplace, in the courts, things like that. However, they're still involved in a conspiracy to genetically eliminate most of you, yet still use the eliminated to fund the raising and feeding of the ones they did not eliminate, or the seeds of the ones they did not eliminate. So when you out there protesting and everything else, they're looking at you like you stupid. I just want you to understand that. That's the other reason we should not be out there protesting. You're taking a risk, and when you take that risk, you're taking it in exchange for no return. It's not that you have to do it just to get the draws. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you're out there protesting for somebody who has said that not only does she not want you on an individual level, but that nobody should want you, period. That you're undesirable to any one of them. That's what you're doing. That's what they're saying. That's what they're seeing, because they know how they're judging you. And that's why we got to cut that mess out. You can say, look, she don't deserve to be treated no worse than any other woman as far as other people are concerned. But me get out there and do all of this for her, it's not that you should be out there protesting for the draws. It's not that. But you should not be out there protesting for somebody that believes that any woman of any sort of value at all should automatically not value you. That is the insult to you, and you don't deserve that. Thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Black Out. Assalamu alaikum. And black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.